gonna start with a little centering and just a very basic pranayama just to get the mind settled. So come into your less favored crossing of your legs and just make those fine adjustments so that you really feel stable, you feel aligned, you feel spacious, you feel easeful. Sometimes it requires blankets to support the legs if they're not ready to sit down, if they're feeling a little grip in the groins or hips. And then take some time to adjust the shoulders back, to adjust the shoulder blades in, to spread the chest, to lift the sternum. Not only bringing light to kind of the upper chest, but especially the under chest, which can get kind of sunken. This is a key point of forward bending. I want to keep this idea of the 4 moons of the chest in the sunlight. And when you feel that you have that kind of openness and spread, join the hands in front of your heart. Point the gaze away from the brain, signaling the brain it's time to take a back seat, become more of a passive witness, less of a director, and just start to tune into your own inner experience, whatever that is. It could be looking at the breath, it could be observing sensations, it could be scanning your body for contracted areas, maybe feeling tension in some places. You might also notice the mind is still kind of flitting around. And just begin to anchor into attention. Attention is a really great way to give the mind a bone, to bring the mind to a more still place. And see if you can kind of keep your position, but you're going to come into Janana Mudra, which is just putting the backs of your hands against your knees or thighs, joining the tips of the index fingers and the thumbs, and using that gentle pressure of the backs of the hands against your knees to help bring the chest forward, to help maintain some nice spaciousness and alignment in your seated pose. We're going to come into 4-6 breathing, which is extending the exhalation. So if 4-6 ratio, inhale to exhale, doesn't work for you, you can always trim it down. It could be a 3-5, it could be a 2-3. So just try to make your exhalation a little longer. We're not going to do any pausing between the breaths, so just a seamless transition from inhale to exhale. So just kind of get a natural baseline. Just take your first inhale and just count it. And as you exhale, you're counting, but maybe encouraging a little more exhale to come out. If you know Ujjayi Pranayama and it's pretty simple for you to do without agitating the brain or disturbing the breath, you can always add your Ujjayi Pranayama, which is just adding that little constriction in the back of the throat. You might be able to hear your breath then. You might be able to control the outflow of the breath a little bit better, extend it. As you exhale, try not to bring any hardness to the abdomen. And just keep going on your own for a few more cycles. I always consider forward bending week kind of our mini restorative week. It's very grounding to the nervous system, very quieting to the brain. We're just kind of setting the stage for this practice. And then when you come through the next exhalation in this breathing pattern, just come back to spontaneous breathing, breath you don't control in any way. You're just observing the breath again. You might notice the breath is a little bit more lengthened out. As you feel ready, just blink the eyes open. And welcome, everyone. So we're going to stay seated just a little bit longer. We are talking about the negative space in our forward bends as a way to create kind of less compression, make them feel more spacious. You can switch the crossing of your legs. So the three key places I want to point out today for forward bends that we can find more space, create more space, is the shoulders, the abdomen, and the legs. So we're going to start by shoulder actions, staying seated here. And we're just going to begin with the arms coming out to the sides. Okay, and you should kind of be in a neutral line. Your wrists are in line with your shoulders. Your wrists aren't farther back than your shoulders. Okay, notice your lumbar here. Keep your lumbar long. Turn your palms to face up. Observe your lumbar. Keep the lumbar long. Raise the arms. Take hold of your opposite elbows. Note which forearm crossed on top, because you're going to switch in a moment. And now observing the lumbar, take the elbow tips back. Don't let the lumbar start to distort or shorten. Don't push your head forward either. Keep your skull right over your spine. And now see if you can keep your elbows where they are. Re-extend the arms. Go ahead and lower the arms down. We're going to do it again with the other side crossing top forearm. So again, just go ahead and extend your arms. Make sure the wrists are in line with the shoulders. You're not already in that shoulder opener. Palms turn up. Take the arms completely up. Good. Observe the lumbar spine. It's nice and long. Crossing the opposite crossing now of the forearms. Keep the attention on the lumbar spine. Start to float the elbow tips back. Make sure you're not distorting other parts of the body to get there. You might only move a millimeter, that's fine. Make sure your eyebrows aren't lifting, your temples are soft. Now see if you can maintain the elbows where they are. Realign the arms to Urdhva Hastasana. Nice work. And go ahead and lower the arms down. And one more thing with the shoulders, we're going to clasp the hands. Familiar interlock first. Roll your shoulders back so they're in line with the hips. Long lumbar spine. And then imagine you're holding a big heavy brick in your hands. You have to open the palms nice and wide. And you're pulling your hands at an angle toward the floor, from the shoulders to the wrists. Let your hands start to extend farther back, but keep them weighted toward the floor. Try to take any bend out of the elbows. And see if you can notice or imagine the flesh of the inner upper arms turning out, helping the inner shoulder blade tips push in toward the chest. And again, make sure your lumbar isn't starting to bow. Keep a long lumbar spine. Let your hands and your breastbone be in kind of direct opposition energetically. Okay, so the breastbone reaches up and out, hands reach down and out. Nice. Now just kind of soften those efforts and just switch to the alternate interlock of your hands. And we'll just do it one more time. Shoulders back, full extension of the arms, open the palms. Your hands are a big root system for your breastbone to extend away from. Rise through the crown of the head. Think of the flesh of the inner upper arms turning. Keep your eyebrows soft, your temples soft. Navel in, long lumbar, deep breaths. Go ahead and release those efforts. You might want to shake your arms out. Okay. Everybody has a strap, right? We're going to use a strap. And you're going to make a big old loop with it. We're going to be coming onto our backs. This is getting into the thighs. And we're going to just start with your longest, possible loop, meaning the tail is going to be really short. Okay, and you might need to cinch it down, but you're just going to start with whatever you've got. Try not to have any twists in your loop. It can be kind of a pinchy experience if you have a twist. What you're gonna do is we're gonna be addressing the right leg first. You're gonna be putting your big loop. Make sure you're not putting metal on your foot or on your thigh. So just keep the rings away from touching your body because that's cold and again, it can pinch. So you're gonna put the loop underneath your left foot. You'll come onto your back and you'll put the right leg up so that the belt is around the right thigh. And then that's where you might have to cinch off a little bit of slack. I have an 8-foot strap and I only have a little tail left. It's not a contest. We're just trying to get some nice pressure onto the top thigh. Since most of us don't have 2 straps, we're going to use our hands to support the back of the right thigh. This is not so much today about stretching the back of our right leg because we're working with negative space. And so I want you to think about your front right thigh being absorbed by the back of the right thigh. And try to hold your leg in a way your shoulders aren't really super rounded away from the floor. You might have to slide down more toward the hip line to let the shoulders come down. And just feel how the pressure of the strap into the bottom of the left foot is supporting the idea of the back of the right thigh absorbing the front of the right thigh. So the front body gets bulky when we forward bend. And so a lot of our work today is to get the front body out of the way. Mainly the thighs, the shoulders, and the abdomen. BKS Iyengar said something interesting about the thighs. He considered the front thighs bulky, the backs of the thighs thin. And he said, take what is bulky, make it thin, take what is thin and make it bulky. So what we're doing right now, you're taking the bulky toward the thin and you're trying to create more equanimity there. Okay, so we're just kind of imprinting the body. We're going to switch out the setup here so you can just stick your right foot into the loop. You can try to exchange the top of the loop to the left thigh and extend the left leg up. Notice how it also naturally keeps our hips in check. It prevents us from hiking the elevated hip, the elevated leg side hip. Well, in this case, the left hip is in check. We're keeping it in check. And you'll notice you won't be able to bring your aerial leg much closer. It's a good way to keep this pose really honest. I'm sorry, Vern, you're all tangled there. Okay, he's getting it. Just take a few more breaths thinking about the back of the left thigh, absorbing the front. Making that bulky front thigh thinner. Okay, and go ahead and release the foot down. I just came up in a not good way. You want to get out of your strap, roll to your side and come up to seated. You're going to come into Dandasana. So you're going to sit on a blanket. You might need 2 blankets depending on how your back feels here. So if your back feels rounded or you feel kind of letter C shaped in your spine, give yourself ample support under the sitting bones so that you can really have that upright lumbar spine. Okay, we're going to do a couple of things here. I want everybody to put a blanket under their heels. If it hurts the back, you can skip the blanket under the heels. Some of us don't need more. We're right where we need to be. Okay, so we're going to do a couple adjustments. Just like when you're seated, you're going to rotate your thighs. So you're lifting the outer right thigh up, you're rolling the inner right thigh down, you're making corrections. You're also helping spread the flesh between the buttocks so your sitting bones come down more widely. Then you're going to run your hands along the underside of the legs to kind of bifurcate the muscle so that you can have the legs sit down well. So we have negative space behind the ankles and knees. You're going to try to close that and find that compaction in your thighs. Again, you just kind of imprinted with the reclining hand to big toe pose experience. Let your backs of your thighs absorb the fronts of your thighs. Put your feet in alignment, your toes above your heels, hands next to your hips, roll the shoulders back, and just kind of plant your legs, really press them into the floor. Active Dandasana should be tiring. It's work to get the legs to sit down well. So we have to feel this in our forward bends. We have to work these legs in our forward bends. Otherwise, they're going to be bulky. They're going to be pushing into our torso, and we're going to not have a very deep forward bend. We're going to have a not good time. So we want to have a good spacious time in our forward bends. Okay. That's all we're doing there. You're going to push your blanket away if you had one under the heels. And you can find your way to hands and knees, table pose. And if you're modifying your downward dog these days, you can feel free to use a chair and kind of do a standing uttanasana with a chair. So just taking, I know some of us are working with wrist issues. So make sure to use the version of downward dog that you're working with to support yourself. So what we're doing here is I want you to feel those very same legs of the previous two poses, the compaction of the thighs from the front to the back. So coming into your downward facing dog, you can just begin as you would normally. Just make sure that you're not extending the legs right away. You want to really draw the hips away from the shoulders. So the chest is kind of seeking out the thighs, and the thighs are trying to pull away from the chest. So I want you to kind of think about the backs of your thighs, absorbing the fronts of your thighs. The thighs are really extending farther back toward the back end of the mat. And meanwhile, the chest keeps trying to close in on those thighs. So in forward bends, there's so much momentum forward. We have to find places in the body to pull back. So pull the thighs back, pull the heels back, pull the hips back. Keep yourself anchored this way. See if you can stay 5 more breaths. Good. Now go ahead and find your way into child's pose. We're going to do it just plain and simple here before we start to doctor it up. So you might need a break for the arms. You might bend your elbows and use your hands for head support. You might be able to put your head directly down. Let's take a few moments in child's pose. Extend your spine, accept that length that's naturally occurring here. Pull the sacrum away from the skull. Broaden the back body. And I just want you to notice, because we're going to move into the abdomen, the tension on the abdomen. So notice how the belly naturally here hangs. It smushes toward the floor. It gets in the way. So our belly naturally pushes out here. And so we're going to start to play with that a little bit. So first of all, just kind of come out of the pose. If the legs need some sort of adjustment, you're going to fix the legs first. So some of us have been using blankets behind the knees for knee support, which you can set up right now if you need that. Some people pad the shins. Some people put something between the buttocks and the heels. So any of those modifications that you make, you're going to make them now. But we are all going to use the same modification for the abdomen. So take a blanket and fold it so it's the rectangular shape, the narrow rectangular shape. And you might find you don't need this much bulk. I find that I need it, but if you don't need as much bulk, you can always open it up. You're going to bring it right to your hip creases. Your knees are wide, of course, your feet are together. It's the child's pose position. Okay, what we're trying to do is fold forward now. Some of us have an actual belly roll. Some of us, you have to imagine it. Can you just try to imagine having a stomach? That was a joke. So lifting your belly roll or your fake belly roll over the blanket. So it's not trapped under there. We want it over the lip of the blanket. It's going to help us kind of hammock the stomach up towards the back body. Okay, again, you might need to prop your head with a block or your own hands because you're a little higher now. You might just kind of suspend your head and keep your ears floating between your arm space. But use the blanket as a way to imprint on the body. We want to lift the stomach towards the back body, which in turn helps you spread the back body. Forward bends are about back body opening. We take the front body, we draw it toward the back body, except for the breastbone. So how do we keep the breastbone forward? That's the shoulder work. Okay, a few more moments, just kind of getting this into the body as an experience. We take concepts and then we embody them so we can physically experience them. Okay, and now you're going to creep out of it. And now we're going to address the thighs and abdomen at the same time in child's pose. I'm really hoping everybody has 2 blankets because you're going to need one of those rectangles on each side right up to the thigh crease. So it's kind of like you're going for a horseback ride and you have your breeches on, birches, whatever they're called. And you're going to try to have those blankets stay right at the hip creases. Come forward, think about the belly lifting up and over the props. And now just kind of feel the spaciousness. Oftentimes we get really kind of jammed up in the hip joints. So use the blankets to keep the thighs compressing, you know, toward, away from the front body, and keep the abdomen lifted toward the back body. Don't be so concerned with the head or the torso here. Just kind of find a very neutral, quiet position for your arms and your head. Remember to keep your tailbone pointing down, your toenails really anchored to the floor. Great. And now creeping your hands toward yourself to come up. All right. So we're going to come up to standing. And just once you get there, put yourself in mountain pose. I'm going to adjust my camera so I can see my whole body. All right. Joining the feet, if you can, shoulders back. You can start with your palms facing forward to adjust the flesh of the upper arms the way we want them. So we're turning the arms, we're rolling the shoulders back, helping keep the 4 moons of the chest shining brightly, and then rotate just from elbows to fingertips so your palms face in. Close your eyes. Feel your Dandasana legs. Rather than hardening the quadriceps, it's a little less aggressive. Think about the backs of the thighs absorbing the fronts of the thighs. Taking what is bulky, making it thin. Taking what is thin and making it more bulky. See if every time you breathe in, instead of pushing the abdomen forward, you can gently spread the abdomen toward the back body. This is a really good way to breathe because when we don't allow the abdomen to inflate, the breath is forced up and it helps us take fuller breaths. Also helps us keep the chest lifted and spread to get the breath up higher. So spread the belly every time you breathe in, like the underside of an umbrella, in a gentle way, not a hardened way. Shoulders stay back. The thighs stay gently compressed from front to back, and the abdomen stays spreading back. Only thing feeling forward is the breastbone. Good. open your eyes and find a blanket again. We're gonna make a little apron. And you're gonna put it right over your, kind of right under the abdomen, over the hip creases. Because same idea, we're gonna try to fold forward. This is gonna be a little spacer. And for standing Uttanasana, separate your feet hip distance, toes in line with heels. You'll have to hold the blanket until you hinge and your body catches the blanket. So you're holding it in place. You're gonna lengthen forward, like you're trying to spread the torso out on a tabletop or something. You're trying to get as much length as you can. Again, think about the belly coming up and over the lip of the blanket. Bend your knees if you need to. And then hopefully the body has caught the blanket. You can dangle the arms. And you can work with maybe straightening the legs a little bit. Dangle your head. If you feel stable enough, you could grab your elbows. And every time you breathe in, negative space in the abdomen, rather than pushing and creating more, taking up more space, spread the abdomen back. Notice how we can get a little deeper without forcefulness, without aggressiveness. It's a graceful way to find space. If you do cross the arms, just take some time with the opposite crossing. And now go ahead and drop your hands, bend your knees. You're gonna come up, just let your blanket fall. Just let it fall. Standing in mountain pose, close your eyes. Make sure you feel the turning of the flesh of the upper arms. Use the palms forward if you need to assist that action. Try to soften the front thighs rather than hardening them. And see if you can bring them towards the backs of the thighs. Remember to open the backs of your knees and ankles. So take the kneecaps into the thighs, into the legs. Try to compress the front ankles back. Remembering Dandasana. Good. Okay, go ahead and open your eyes again. You move the blanket out of the way. And now I want to bring us into Paschimottanasana. We're going back to, no, I'm sorry. We're going to do that in a minute. We have one more standing pose. This is the one you're going to need your chair. It's a basic chair, so whatever you've got at home, just not a rocking chair, right? I know we work with what we have, but we just want it to have 4 stable legs so it's not going anywhere. You can work with the higher part of the chair facing you, and then again, you're going back to your strap. So I had COVID, as you guys know, and really for me wasn't very extreme, but the brain fog is real. So there was something else I wanted to do with Uttanasana, and I know that, and I just remembered what it was, and hopefully I can keep that thought. We're still gonna do it. Okay, so what we're gonna do right now though is Parsvottanasana with the compression of the thigh, just like we did on our backs, and with the chair to keep the abdomen spacious and the shoulders back. So we're gonna kind of bring all these ideas together. But because we're belting the legs and strapping one foot, I just want you to consider your safety as your first priority. So the left foot again is going to step on the strap. It's going to be your back leg. The right thigh is getting the front thigh strapping, okay? Because we're going to do the right leg forward, the left leg back. So you are going to have to take your stance and then tighten off the belt so that you have the correct amount of tension on the front thigh. and you're anchoring into the back foot. And then the chair is not only there to stabilize you, but it's going to help align you. And it's also going to help you keep the spaciousness that you need here. So really step into your back foot. Adjust the strap, of course, as needed, so you have the tension to kind of appropriately suggest that action of the front thigh compacting. Extend your arms forward so that you can keep a sense of spaciousness in the abdomen. Your legs are straight. You're going to float the abdomen toward the back body every time you breathe in. And meanwhile, see if you can find a way to kind of, you're not trying to move your chair, but wherever your hands, however your hands are on the chair, try to pull them toward yourself to help bring your chest into the sunlight. So rather than pushing your hands forward, try to pull back and move the chest forward. Align your neck in a neutral way. You might look straight down. And just take a few moments here to just feel all these very specific articulations that are going to really benefit your forward bending practice going forward. Right thigh is absorbing back. The belt might be loosening. That's a good sign. The abdomen is lifting toward the back body in opposition to what gravity wants it to do, which is puff out toward the floor. And we're doing the work, keeping the shoulders back, the chest in the sunlight. Good. Now this is a tricky one to get out of. I'm going to go down for my safety. You have to intuit how to safely exit this pose. So I'm going down with my hands. I'm going to step my right foot back a little bit. I'm going to let my strap fall down and help myself safely up. However you can safely get out of there is the way to go. Once you're up, just take a moment to step into mountain. It can just be a very simple, quick mountain pose. Just feel yourself upright again. Let your body kind of bathe in the leftovers, the resonance of the pose. And then as you feel ready, you can open eyes and you're going to be stepping into the strap with the right foot now, stepping on the floor with the strap. The left front thigh is getting that strap treatment close to the hip flexor. Really find the anchor of your back foot. Use that anchor to bring the correct amount of compression to the left thigh. Use the chair away from you enough that you can find the really long, extended, even torso. The abdomen floats toward the back body when you breathe in. Try to draw your hands toward yourself to shoot the breastbone forward. Nice. And maybe notice which is the most difficult for you. Is it the thighs? Is it the legs? Is it the abdomen? Is it the work with the shoulders? We all have our own habitual patterns in our body that we have to unlearn. Okay, so however you're going to get out of there, you're going to start to safely transition. Good. Looks like everybody is finding their way. Okay, so that is it for standing today. We're going to come to seated. I'll push my whole camera closer now again. You can sit up on the 1 or 2 blankets. Just come back to Dandasana. Make those adjustments again. So pick up the outer thigh, rotate the inner thigh down, spreading the flesh between the buttocks, also getting the centers of the thighs to align, running your hands down the backs of the legs to let the legs sit down more deeply. We're trying to close the gap between the Achilles and the backs of the knees by bringing the legs toward the floor. So really anchor into your legs. Okay, we're gonna come into Asana, forward bend. So we'll be drawing the right leg in. And just take some time to try to correct the imbalance with the weight of the seat. So you have to bring more weight back to that right side. And also make sure your foot didn't get too close that you lost the integrity of the low back. Keep your low back upright. You want to be perched on your sitting bones. You don't want to be perched on your tailbone. So it might mean stepping the foot forward. Okay, so we're first just going to start to twist to the left. Left hand is next to left hip. Raise the right arm, and on the exhale, take hold of the outer right thigh. Left thigh, and turn yourself to the left. Left hand can come right behind you, and you might need to elevate it. And just try to step more deeply into your right foot to keep your right buttock down. And allow the back of the left thigh to absorb the top thigh. Good. Now, traditionally, classically, we bind this pose to aid us in keeping shoulders back. So you're going to release your twist and find your strap. We're just going to feel that for a moment. You don't worry if the strap is open or closed. You're just going to grab it nice and wide. You can grab in the loop if you still have a loop. You can grab wide with your hands if your strap is open. You're going to try to bring your right arm in front of your right shin, holding that strap. Okay, now you're going to go underhanded with that right hand so that your palm faces back and your thumb points down. Yeah. And now start to crawl the hands together towards each other. And then once you get them as close as they're going to be, pull the hands apart, help you roll the shoulders back and shine the breastbone forward. Okay, so that's just a little imprint. We're not doing a bound version today. I just want you to have a way to feel how you can get your shoulders back. You can drop the strap now. You can reach out for the left foot, and if you can grab it, great, but most of us are going to have to go back and connect with the foot with the strap. Okay, so remind yourself of those really key areas where we can make more space when we become more compact. Shoulders, abdomen, thighs. Okay, so in breath here, find nice extension to your torso. Exhale. Nobody has a measuring stick. We're not concerned how close you get to your thigh. I want you to just kind of feel those three areas. Find a way to get the shoulders back, the chest forward, spread the abdomen back. Notice how you can close in on your forward bend that way. And then let the back left thigh really absorb the front left thigh. Nice. Look forward and come out of it. Go ahead and extend your right leg. Give your legs a little shake. Bounce them. You might massage them. Whatever you need to do. I'm going to adjust myself forward because my blanket keeps sliding and I want it on my sticky mat. Okay, so come back to Dandasana. Maybe make those little adjustments. You might rotate your thighs again. Sit up tall. And then from there, you're inviting the left foot closer, but observe the low back. Really step into your left foot to bring some weight back to your left buttock. And we're going to twist now again. So you can start with your right hand next to your hip, raise the left arm, cross the body and just kind of press on the outer right thigh. Slide your right hand more centered behind you. Elevate the hand if you need to, so you don't have to lean back. Keep your weight over your sitting bones and just twist. Take a few nice deep breaths. Okay, so we'll try that bind a different way. It's just fun to know how to get into these things. So we'll try it a different way just so you can experience that. So come out of your twist halfway, hinge forward, try to get your left arm as long as you can, and your left shoulder is inside your left knee. You're gonna do a full or half rotation of the arm, so the left palm will face to the left thumb is now down. Good. Reach even farther, like you're trying to grab something, you can't get it. Good. And then you're gonna see if you can wrap the arm in front of the shin. It's a little awkward to learn this, so yeah, that's right, Kirsten. And then once you get the arm kind of wrapped there, can you take your right hand and find the left hand? Probably not, but then there's that strap. If you had it, you could connect that way. So that's just another doorway into that bind. Okay, enough of that. So if you're able to reach the foot directly, you're gonna do that. Otherwise, go back and find your strap and just belt the bottom of the foot. Squeezing your left knee to your left shoulder. Pull back on your strap or foot to make the action of the shoulders go back so you get the chest forward. Take a few breaths, inviting the abdomen to float back as you inhale. And feel the anchor of your right leg, the absorption of the back of the leg, of the front of the leg. Good. Exhale over the leg. And again, this isn't about how compact you are. It's really about just sensing those three major parts of the body here, how we can make more room in the pose without a forceful, aggressive approach. Beautiful. After an exhale, look forward, drop your strap, come all the way up, extend your left leg, give your legs a little shake or a little bounce. Janu Shirshasana, which I always like to follow Marichyasana because it's a lot of tension in the hip, and now we just get to let the hip be soft. So scoop the right knee from behind, let the knee fall out, and then you can grab underneath the ankle, but you're gonna try to invite the heel toward the upper inner right thigh. And for a lot of us, it's gonna be really helpful to give your knee some support. If you're floating in the air there with your knee, prop the knee so that you can really anchor down. Good. And then just turn yourself so you're lining your breastbone up with your left leg. Take a few moments just sitting up and feeling the leg compacting to the floor. Grab your strap, belt the bottom of the foot. Try this one with your elbows just right directly under the shoulders so we get a better chance of keeping our shoulders back. So start with the leg, that's really your anchor. Really compact the thigh down. Take an in-breath to invite the spreading of the abdomen, and as you exhale, hinge forward. Keep the shoulders back and try not to lead with the chin, which is very tempting here. Keep the crown of the head representative of the line of the spine. If it helps, invite your face towards the back of the head. Moving everything to the back because we have so much forward momentum, except the breastbone. So hopefully you're not in your deepest Janu Shirshasana right now. Sometimes when we go to our deepest, we lose those finer points. Okay, so come up, and I just want to give you one more helpful tool. And if you don't have a blanket, you're just going to repeat what you just did. If you do have one more extra blanket, you can create that little spacer. By the way, I think I have 3 more blankets for sale. So almost everything else sold out, which is amazing. Okay, so there's that spacer. Again, if you don't have this blanket, you're just going to repeat Janu Shirshasana, same side. Pick up your strap. Start with an in-breath, just pressing the leg into the floor. Next in-breath, invite the abdomen not only back, but over the lip of the blanket if you're using one. Exhale, hinge forward. If it's helpful, close your eyes. Sometimes we can sense our poses better when the eyes are closed. A lot of times our gaze is driving us around. It's more suggestive than we want it to be. And sometimes we can find alignment better with eyes closed. Every time you breathe in, floating things to the back body, keeping yourself anchored so you can keep propelling forward, but with a spaciousness. Good. And now lift yourself up and out of it. Safest way out of Jani Shirshasana for the bent knee side is to go back up with the knee and then extend the leg. Really saves wear and tear on the knee over the course of time. So just try to transition out of Jani Shirshasana that way. Come back to Dandasana. And then we'll go in for left side, which could be different. Right side, sorry. Okay, so we're going to grab behind the knee, stand the leg up, and open it out. And you can kind of scoop the underside of the shin to invite not only the heel closer, but it helps you roll that flesh out of the way. And it helps you get the knee down farther. Then give your knee the support it needs. You could use a block if you're short on blankets. You can prop the knee with a block, just knowing that it's not going to go down in a block. A blanket will soften and squish. Block will keep you kind of at the level you put it in. We'll start without the blanket support first. We're going to take hold of the bottom of that right foot and try to start yourself in a way that your elbows are under your shoulders. Start sitting upright and just working on kind of compressing the leg front to back. Okay, take an in breath and draw the belly towards the back body and then come forward. Shoulders back, face back. Without the blanket spacer, can you create that sense of spaciousness at the hip joint and in the abdomen? If that's helpful, close the eyes. On an in-breath, you're going to come up and now create a blanket spacer, or just repeat what you just did if you don't have that blanket. And you have to determine how much thickness you need. It could be the doubled up blanket, but try to bring it right to that hip joint. And then any flesh that's above the hip joint, you're trying to bring it over the blanket. So you're keeping a space held, which is, we're using props to imprint what we want the body to do without the props one day. So from an upright position, anchor the leg. Take an in-breath, exhale forward, shoulders back, keeping space at the hip joint, keeping space in the abdomen. We'll just stay 5 breaths. With the abdomen spreading back on those in-breaths, feel the broadness and expansion of the back body between the back ribs. And on an inhale, come up. Moving the blankets aside, standing the knee up, extending the leg, give your legs a shake. Okay, Paschimottanasana, considered one of the deepest forward bends. We're going to finish with that before we wind down for Shavasana. So come back to Dandasana. If you are feeling like the body is kind of, a little stiff today or needing extra support, you're going to use a chair to rest your head on. So you'll put the chair right over your legs so you can rest your head on the edge of the chair seat. And if you feel like you're able to come closer to the legs, you're going to build up height on top of your legs using what you have. You might have a bolster. If you don't have a bolster, you can always create the height you need kind of with blocks. So I just sandwiched a block into my blanket. I do have a bolster, but I'm just showing you ways to get by here. And then you might add the additional height of your arms. Okay, so just do a quick test to see if you're going to make it. And if you don't make it, find some use of your props to give yourself a landing position, because that's really the part we need for this deep forward bend to keep us quiet. Otherwise, we're going to be kind of struggling. Then come back to Dandasana once you have your setup. Good. So just take a few breaths anchoring your legs. Make sure your legs are adjusted if needed. Feel the back thighs absorbing the front thighs. Squeezing out the gaps behind the ankles and backs of the knees. Take an inhale, roll the shoulders back. Exhale, come forward. Keep floating the abdomen back. Prop the head. So what I didn't mention is we can add an additional spacer at the hip joints for the abdomen, but I knew we'd be short on props at this point. But if you do have an additional blanket, you might also throw that onto your lap, bringing the edge right up to the hip crease. And then you can have that little reminder of every breath you take, spaciousness. And as you hold this pose, you might have to reduce props. So just listen to your body, give it what it wants. Maybe it wants less height now under the head. So I wanted to bring you back to the idea that in forward bends, we have a wave of energy that starts at the feet and exits at the crown. Today, we're studying what's inside that wave. We've all seen those big ocean waves that surfers, ride. So we're kind of studying the hollow of the wave, the hollowing of the front body. Stay another minute. For this last minute, just how do we get the breastbone in the sunlight here? Just keep your attention there. Shoulders back, shoulder blades in, scrubbing the feet towards the hips, hollowing the belly. These are all going to help you. And now to leave the pose, just lift your head. Keep the spine and torso spacious as you rise up. You can deconstruct all those props you had supporting you and give your legs one more little shake. We do want to follow all these forward extensions with a milder back bend. So we're going to take supported bridge pose, which you can either do on a bolster, horizontal bolster, or just a simple block. You'll come onto your back. And because you've done so much forward extension, you might not need as much height. I'm using a very low, the lowest part of my block, the flat, low part. And I'm also going to walk my feet away from my buttocks. I'm taking more of a vertical shin today. I'm also going to widen my feet to broaden the low back. And then I'm going to just unfold my arms and help my outer upper arms come down and help my shoulder blades lift. And after a few moments, you might be able to elevate the block. But we're doing this today to neutralize the effects of repeated forward extension in the body. So we're not really striving for our maximum bridge pose today. Try to keep as minimal space between the neck and floor as you can, tilting the chin down. Really let your sacrum sink into the support, welcoming the abdomen back. And now find a way to safely, gently, in a supported way, lift off the block and slide it out of the way. Stretch your arms out to each side with your palms down. Lift your legs one at a time, keep them bent. We're going to just take a very mild version of belly turning pose to release the spine. So remember, this pattern moves in an L shape. You're going to take your knees directly over for half of the movement pattern and then up toward the shoulder line and then down and over. So be more interested in massaging your lower back and wringing out the spine than turning the belly today. So even if you can do a stronger, deeper, more intense belly turning pose, again, that's really not why we're putting it here today in the sequence of things. We want to massage the lower back and we want to bring some nice movement to the spine. So L shape, it might be more of a semicircle than an L shape, so don't be so obsessed with a right angle. When you pull up to the shoulder line, it is a good time to be exhaling. And you're going to find a rhythm that works for you. And you're just going to intuit when you've done enough of these and you feel ready to set up for Shavasana. You might also decide you need to do something else movement-wise before Shavasana. So just intuit your way from here to your final resting pose. Maybe give your legs a little hug. And then also make sure you have the support you need under the head, over the body, over the eyes. Lots of eye pillows left. If you want one for home, you just have to microwave them to sterilize them. All of you seamstresses out there could sew a little pillowcase for them if you want. Place yourself in Shavasana in a spacious way, in a way that you're ultimately supported. Taking a moment to wind the thumbs down, the pinkies up. To adjust the head so that the neck is really long. And just like we started, you're just kind of tuning into witnessing anything you notice, really. Notice how the practice allows us to pay closer attention, allows us to be more present. There should be no effort here, just allowing the breath, allowing the body to continue to settle, allowing thoughts to float across that screen of your mind. Just like strange objects crawling across an empty room. As you feel ready, you're just going to start to draw in some deeper breaths. Start to invite some simple movement, beginning at the fingers and toes, maybe rocking your head gently, maybe rotating your wrists, maybe rotating your ankles, allowing your knees and elbows to bend, folding your hands onto your chest or belly. And from here, just find your way onto your side, and we're going to spend just a few moments there. So make sure your head is comfortable. Use your hands as a pillow if you need. Maybe the eyes start to come open here, but not because we want to really see anything, just letting the eyes passively open. Using the pressure of your hands against the floor to help you come up to a seated position. Your body comes right back into good seated, easy space. Join the hands together in front of the heart. Shoulders back, chest forward. The abdomen spreading back to support a long lumbar spine. The face softening into an easy smile. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose. Let it go. From the place within me that I know to be divine, I honor that place within each of you. Namaste. All right. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. Have a great week. I'll look forward to seeing some of you again this week. And take good care.